Welcome to PsychicBent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic.
Welcome back, PsychicBent listeners, to this episode of PsychicBent. Kim and I are going to go over the different types of meditation. Just going to be like a conversation. It's not going to be a workshop. But I can tell you, Kim and I have had a crazy last couple days. Probably last 2 weeks, right, Kim? I mean, we both have been like nonstop.
Yeah.
Going, so we were so glad that we could actually finally sit down a time to get this episode recorded because it's been mayhem. And we do need to meditate probably pretty badly after we get off here. Because It's been so crazy hectic. Kim, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Throughout the many episodes, 60 plus episodes that we've done, we've always discussed or mentioned meditation, and yet we've never really, I know we've talked about meditation, but we thought we would get some, like Carrie said, techniques and just things that you could compare and decide what might work best for you in whatever situation you might need it for. Because there's so many different types of meditations that you can do for different reasons. And for what time you have, what you might be going through, stuff like that. I've got a list of techniques for the meditation. Carrie does too. So we're just going to go through them and hopefully 1, 2, 5, whatever might resonate with you. Maybe all 10, who knows? What do you think, Carrie?
I'm not going to go into technique. Like how to do it, right? We're not doing that.
Well, no. I'm just...
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we don't have enough time for that.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
This meditation is one that I do a lot, and that is a breathing meditation, because this can be done anywhere, anytime, whenever you need it. Well, I use it a lot when I'm in my high anxiety state. The breathing, you can do this standing up in a store or whatever. People don't know what you're doing. They don't realize that you're meditating, but it can be done. And it's what I use to actually calm me down whenever I am in that full-blown depends-ile state that I get into sometimes. And it is just simply a breathing meditation. And you're just simply slowing your mind down. You're focusing on something, and you're focusing on that breathing to get your mind away from the chaos that might be happening around you or that you're feeling. And it allows you to bring you into a mindful state and focus on right then, right there, slowing your heartbeat, just literally slowing everything down and bring it into that focus of just breathing and really paying attention to your breathing in and your breathing out. And as you do that, you're really filling your body with a lot of oxygen that allows to go through your whole body, and it just helps to make everything work better and slow down, and your heart rate can come down, and then you can focus on getting out of the mindset that you're in to where it's a more peaceful, tranquil mindset, and allows you to get your bubble back up, your protection, because a lot of times you need that around you, and it gets chipped away. And that breathing meditation helps you to rebuild everything inside you for your protection and grounding and balancing and such. Do you use that one a lot, Carrie?
I use that in conjunction with mindfulness meditation. I think would be more. I kind of concentrate on the breathing and being mindful, and I kind of incorporate that into that. But you can do that breathing technique is really good though when you're in a moment where you just need to, get focused.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're having a bad day at work, you go to the bathroom stall, and you can do that breathing exercises as long as it doesn't sound weird coming out of a bathroom stall. But you could do things. Yeah, I find it very helpful for when I can't just, do it.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, it can be done anywhere, not even you could just sit at your desk or stand in an aisle. act like you're looking at something, and that's another part of your focus, and you're just breathing in and then breathing out. There are different breathing techniques that you could try, different patterns of breathing, but we're not going to go deep diving into these. That might look a little silly in an aisle. And if you start feeling dizzy and feel like you're going to
Yeah.
pass out, that could look a little uncomfortable in an aisle. But that's why I said you just focus on breathing in slowly and just breathing out. And it doesn't have to be loud, heavy breaths. It's
Well,
just
well, this is more of an anxiety based meditation,
well, I think it could also be,
right?
yeah, it could be the anxiety based, but it could also be emotional based as well. If you're upset, you've gotten into an argument with somebody and you're upset and you just need to calm down and focus and get yourself under control, you can do the breathing as well. Even if you're in a place where you're nervous for, I don't know, proposal you're going to be presenting to someone, it could help you to just to calm that nervous system down. Or even if you've just totally lost your focus on what it is you're trying to do, you got phone calls, you've got just stuff happening around you, it just relaxes you and brings you back to the
Yeah.
present. And like I said, with the oxygen going in your brain and your body, all over your body, it just helps your nervous system get back into check, and the rest of your body will follow. Whether you're upset, you're scared.
Well, I mean, we don't want to focus this all on just having anxiety, and so, I mean, we want to break into the different kinds too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kim, let me ask you this. Don't you kind of think that before you start meditating, you need to kind of figure out what best relaxes you? Like, I mean, is it a silent meditation or do you need sound to help you relax? Or is movement going to help you focus more? Or do you want to clear your mind or reflect deeply? Or do you need something structured or very flexible? So, I mean, where does the breathing fit into that? I think you can incorporate that breathing into almost every technique, don't you think?
Well, yeah, breathing is a part of
Because you're breathing every
every
day.
technique. Yeah.
You are breathing. But not just for an anxiety issue or not just for getting into an argument that you can, if you're just wanting to sit down and just meditate, that's how it starts, right? Focus your breathing. But I think it's really good when you're in an environment that you need to do a quick, okay, I need to shut this out, like you were saying. But I think that just kind of the breathing fits into multiple meditations, don't you think?
Well, yeah, it is, but this is just a quick fix kind of meditation for whatever you need.
Well, I mean, I think it's especially good if you're one who is a beginner or your mind wanders often. I think because breathing is a focused meditation, I think that's a really good one for that as well. As a beginning, I'm going to try this out and I can't, my mind keeps wandering. That staring at something, like you said, breathing, I think is a really good technique for that.
Yeah, I agree. And to be full disclosure, all of my techniques that I've got for the meditation are all geared towards beginners.
Okay.
Is there one you would like to do next?
The one I have, Kim, is spiritual meditation. And obviously, this type of meditation is geared more towards individuals on a spiritual path or that they're seeking deeper connection. Now, spiritual meditation allows for introspection, contemplation, and communion with a higher power. Whether you practice it in a place of worship or a quiet room at home, this style helps foster inner peace and emotional clarity through stillness and openness. So that's kind of the meditation that you're going to set the intention of what you're wanting to accomplish in your meditation for spiritual growth. You can do this as a guided meditation too, if you want, but you're basically looking for inner peace, emotional clarity, and you have an openness so you can seek a deeper connection.
So, when you are doing this spiritual meditation, that focuses strictly for the spiritual journey to communicate, or
Yeah, yes, it's introspection, you've got contemplation going on, and you're communicating with a higher power or your guides, or what your belief system is. That's who you're communicating with.
mm-hmm.
So that's why it can be done if you have a place of worship that you go. If you just want to do a quiet room at home, it's not something you're going to do out in public.
Right?
You're connecting with your inner self, your higher
Mm-hmm.
self, I mean, your spirit guides, your angels, whatever your belief system is that you communicate with. The spiritual meditation is just basically concentrating on, doing the inner work and communicating with your guides and spiritual growth.
So it could also be just the questions that you have, not just communicating with. It's all that. It's connecting with them,
Yeah, it's all that.
receiving the messages from them that they
Hmm.
may have, or answer the questions that you might have, stuff like that.
Right.
That one's really interesting. That's one that when you're ready, after you've done meditating, gotten your foot into how to meditate and stuff like that, and how you feel, and because a lot of meditation is how you feel while you're doing it. And then you step into that one. Would you agree? Or do you think you could do that as a beginner?
I think you do that as a beginner.
Okay.
Because I mean, I did that. I didn't feel like I needed to ease into meditation, like dip my toe in it. I was just kind of like, oh wait, this sounds like something really interesting. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this type. Oh wait, I was spiritually hungry, I think is a good way to put that. That I needed meditation. I have inner conversations with my guides and inner conversations as long as I can remember. So I think I was beyond that beginner step personally. I didn't need to ease into it.
Gotcha.
And I just kind of felt like I was more being pushed, you know, because every time I'd go to look for, because I wanted to do guided meditation because being new to meditation, guided meditation kind of helps you get the gist of some things. If you're like me and want to know the ins and outs before I want to know what's going on or how to try things. And then once I just tried a few good guided meditations, I'm just like, okay, I got this. I felt more driven to do the spiritual meditations, to do the Akashic record meditations and the past life regressions. I felt very drawn to that, but that's what my spirit needed. That's what I needed to do in my growth.
Right.
Like I had to get to those stumbling blocks to unlock some of the blocks that were hampering my psychic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people look at it that way. You do things, you have things with you, whether they're from a past life and you brought them forward, or past wounds from past relationships, whether it was a friendship relationship or a family relationship or a romantic relationship. Things happen that shut you down
Mm-hmm.
that you may not realize you've shut down. Kind of like when we were talking about the chakra episode, how the chakras, once they get blocked, how that interferes with your health, your happiness, your abilities. And I was at a point myself where I needed the spiritual meditation.
I gotcha.
That's what I needed at the time. So spirit did not have it set that I would just dip my toe in the pool. Because I mean, every time I would research meditations, I would get it would always be something spiritual.
Makes sense.
So, but that was part of the healing process, and meditation is healing. Some people may not go into that like I was, just because I was getting pushed to kind of like, this is what you need to do because you got some issues you need to fix. We can't talk
Yeah.
to you to fix this. It's
Right.
kind of what I was getting.
Right. Gotcha.
And that's not everybody. That's not everybody. That's not happened for you.
Right.
You liked to do that beginner approach because that's what you needed at the time
Yes.
when you started meditating, right?
When I start
You know,
anything,
so there's
it's the
no,
beginner.
yeah, yeah. Well, but see, as someone who is highly left brain because of, the work you do with computers and such, I think that's normal for anyone who is in a very highly technical position. I think that's normal
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you're drawn to. And there's no right and wrong to it. Some things are going to resonate and some aren't. But yeah, definitely, if that's what you're drawn to, is taking those baby steps, and Kim's going to be able to help you with some of those because she's got some of the techniques that are great for beginners.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. It's just kind of where you're at when you're listening to this podcast.
Right.
It's 60 some odd episodes, and we've talked about meditation, probably 57 of them. Just bringing it up, but not really diving in. You either have tried it or you've not, because it's maybe something you've been afraid to try.
Right. That's true.
For me, spiritual meditation, I just kind of just jumped right in there with that because that's what I felt I needed, and that's what I felt I was getting pushed to do for me. Kim, do you have anything you'd like to add to spiritual meditation? Anything more?
No, I think you've covered all the angles there.
Okay. Well, I mean, so, to me, that was the most common meditation for me at the beginning. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that I'm very comfortable with.
Right.
Whereas mantra meditation might be something you're more comfortable with, but I'm not.
True. True.
Although I do meditate with the bells
Mm-hmm.
and the gongs, I'm not comfortable with the ohms. I don't know why. It's not where I'm at right now in my life.
And that is what's involved in a mantra meditation is the ohms and the chanting aloud or doing things, repeating things silently into your head and using the bells, the
There's singing
singing bowls.
bowls,
Yeah.
bells, gongs. I mean, I just bought a really pretty brass bell that you clink,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just beautiful sound. And I've got a gong bell. I love them, and I do them before I meditate. And I think if you're starting out, sitting there and repeating a phrase or repeating Om to focus your mind, I think that's very good technique for beginners, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, because that brings you into that focused meditation as well that we kind of hit upon a little earlier, that you are focusing on what you're doing and what you're saying and helps you become aware of what you're doing or what you're focusing on and such.
Yeah, and now I have used the YouTube. You could get anything on YouTube. The YouTube meditation bells and singing bowls. I've used those to go to sleep at night sometimes. It really, because it's just so, it eases anxiety. The sound, it just kind of like, it does move you. It's just in my mind, that's just not my where I'm at right now in meditation. But that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just not right where I'm at right now.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you drawn to? I mean, you could have more than one you're drawn to, but I was just curious what
What type of
if you had to name your top two. Yeah.
one of the ones that I really didn't realize that's what I was doing, but it made sense when I started.
Don't you like it when spirit does that to you? Like,
Well,
oh, I didn't realize I was doing that.
Spirit's been doing things all my life, so it's like, oh gosh, here's another one. Imagine that,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of thing.
Okay.
It's mindful walking, which is something that I like to walk. I like to take steps, and when I walk, I like to just focus. Have that mindful focus. You're just concentrating on walking and being in present mind, where you're at. You're focusing on, you're not looking around and la da 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 and listening to, all kinds of music unless it's meditative for you, but that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Each step, I'm focusing on each step as I go. I'm focusing on my breath as I walk. And just, I kind of repeat good things in my head as I'm walking too, just because it helps me stay focused. I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this. So I'm doing like a mantra along in there too, but it does me good.
Of all positive things.
Trying to be positive and doing
Yeah.
just mindful walking. That's a meditation as well. You're not focusing on that work you still have to do back at the house. You're not focusing on that 20 days worth of laundry you've got piled up somewhere. You're just focusing on
Yes.
what you're doing and how it is helping you stay focused and mindful and present and being conscious of you.
So, have you ever done mindful cleaning?
Oh yeah, that's part of that too. That I was gonna say that too. That dishes, hand washing dishes.
I thought you did. I'm like, I bet she does mindful cleaning.
It's the dishes. And crocheting.
But yeah, that's mindfulness.
Yeah.
That's you're meditating and just like of jewelry making,
Mm-hmm.
you're so caught in the moment of what you're doing that focus is you're doing something creative, which is always raising your vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And so the same as walking is getting your blood pumping, and it's going to make you feel better because you're doing movement. It's a very, not only are you focusing on your awareness, and intentional movements and trying to connect just with your body through that meditation, but your endorphins are going too, so you're going to feel better.
Right.
automatically.
Right. Here's the thing for me. I cannot do mindful walking meditation on a treadmill or in a gym or something like that. It has to be outside.
I'm sorry. Those videos you see on Facebook where people just try to get off a treadmill and it doesn't end well. That would be me if I was trying to do mindful meditation on a treadmill.
I'm just saying
But you have to be you're very aware of what you're doing,
yes.
obviously stepping and stuff. And what you should do when you're on there is just, yeah,
Yeah. I,
that's too much for me to concentrate on something moving under me. Walking is one thing.
yeah. I can't walk in a gym, where you're walking around the gym floor because I'm more focused on, oh, how many more rounds or laps around this? Does it make a mile? How many for 2 months? It's outside.
Yeah.
It's just
Plus, there's a lot
outside.
of distractions.
Mhm. Yeah.
And outside is grounding,
Right. Exactly.
so you're kind of getting a two for deal out of that.
Right. Exactly. So you and I were talking off podcast or off recording or whatever, and you had mentioned something about transcendental meditation or transcendence meditation. Can you talk about that?
Transcendent. Yes. TM. I'm just going to talk briefly about it. It's TM is the abbreviation for it. And the people who should try this are people that are looking for a structured and time-tested meditation program. So this is a program. This is not something I'm just going to sit in the closet, light a candle, hopefully don't catch the house on fire, meditate kind of thing. This is where it's a highly structured practice where a certified teacher assigns you a personalized Sanskrit mantra, and you're going to practice twice daily for 20 minutes. So this is a program.
Mm-hmm.
This is something you commit to. And the TM has been studied, and it does have health benefits, and it's one of the most popular meditation styles in the world. But it is something you have to commit to daily, twice a day, almost an hour of your life every day, which isn't much. 20 minutes a day, 40 minutes total. The Sanskrit mantra is what you use. That is assigned to you by your teacher. And so it's very structured meditation. But some people really thrive in a structured program, and this one has been time tested. This meditation has been around for a long time, and it has been used to people that do this twice a day, 20 minutes, have seen improved health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It's very popular, like if you're going to a school or a spiritual school, that they teach this kind of disciplined meditation.
What's its purpose, though? I mean, is it whatever the students wanting to accomplish, or
Well,
why?
it's geared towards it is geared towards health benefits,
Okay.
and it's geared to. I mean, because when you think about it, if you're spending 20 minutes twice a day with this particular mantra, it is bringing your mind to focusing on that mantra and what that mantra is. And there's been quite a few podcasts out there with people who do this kind of meditation, and like it's not very well known when you're first starting out, but if you start getting into more of the metaphysical practices and the different kinds of trying to move on to something more focused, this is something that if you have had a chaotic life and you just made a big change and you need peace, this is for you. Because if you had a chaotic existence and some, very chaotic lifestyle, and you finally broke free of that lifestyle because it was not healthy for you, and a chaotic lifestyle is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what's causing the chaos in your life, whether it's a bad relationship, a narcissist, whatever caused this chaotic situation, life choices, anything, and you've broken free. When you have a chaotic situation, you almost crave structure.
Yeah.
You almost need that structure. And so this is a technique that gives you, you have a certified teacher who is also helping you through the process of this meditation. So they're not just giving you a mantra, but they're teaching you how to meditate with this mantra and what to focus on with this mantra. And you're doing it structured 20 minutes twice a day, you are going to come out the other end totally different than when you came in.
Interesting.
Because the chaotic lifestyle is teaching you to let go of that chaotic lifestyle, and you're finding peace 20 minutes a day, twice a day. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's very structured, and a lot of people love the structured effect of this TM meditation, and it calms you. It can release anxiety. It can help with different stomach issues. It can help you with some mental clarity, some mental issues you have to work through. This is one that may help release blockages as well.
Mm, makes sense. One that meditation that we've talked about a lot are, of course, are the guided meditations. Those I find personally to be extremely helpful because there's times whenever, I don't know how to explain this, but I need someone to tell me what to do to get to where mentally I want to be. Whether it's, a meditation for the chakras or for messages from spirit, whatever. I have to do the guided meditations a lot of times because I need that. I need someone to help me focus on what I'm trying to develop or heal and stuff like that. I do use some guided meditation on my walks that help me focus on positive messages and such that I am wanting to work on. And I also do ones that have hypnosis with them. I use
You
those.
don't do that when you're walking, do you?
No, well, I
Okay,
have. I,
good.
I do. I do have one that I specifically do while exercising or walking. And it is one that focuses on being positive message about walking and weight loss. And
Oh, okay.
so I do that one while I'm walking, but I'm only walking on my street too. So it's not like I'm going very far. I never listen to them while driving, which you should never do. But I do like,
No, you shouldn't. No, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But I do like to use the guided meditations at specific times when I'm doing certain things. And that really helps me to continually have that message going in my head and I'm repeating it and it's tied to a song or music or the chimes or the bells. So I do find the guided meditations very helpful at times.
I like them too. I mean, they're good. I think they're really good if you're just starting out and you're a beginner. I think one meditation that I think is overlooked a lot, and I get why it is, but it's so easy once you give yourself some grace, but it's a metta meditation, which is basically a loving kindness meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're seeking emotional healing, compassion, or stronger relationships with people, this form of meditation invites you to basically send positive wishes at first just to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you just send positive wishes to yourself over and over again in your meditation. Whatever, you're beautiful, you're smart, things that are really hard for you to say to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to think about a little pre-work before you sit down to this meditation. Because you say things to yourself you would never say to anyone else that are unkind.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but how often do you say good things or wonderful things about yourself to yourself or to anybody else? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so this meditation starts off with you just basically sending positive wishes to yourself. And once you're comfortable with that and you have done that, and now it's no longer uncomfortable to say good things about yourself, positive wishes. And then you're going to start to send it to loved ones. So you would transition to now I'm going to send these positive wishes to my family, to my loved ones, to my partner. And eventually you send it to all beings. So everyone. Now, what this technique, and this could take you a while to get to that point, what it does improve your emotional well-being. It reduces feelings of anger, anxiety, and depression. So if you find that you have a lot of anxiety and depression or anger in your life, that usually comes from you, of a trigger moment of something that happened in the past, possibly how you were brought up. Like if you weren't allowed to show your feelings or deal with emotion, that can create a lot of anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see where this one could be hard to start at first, where you may have to write down these positive wishes that you wish to send to yourself first. But if you don't do that part first, then you're not healing yourself. And the point of this is to learn to heal yourself before you can try to help others.
Right.
And then you could try to help outside of your loved ones, by sending this wonderful vibe, this beautiful wishes to other people. But if you don't start with yourself, then you can't heal yourself and you can't have compassion for others. And once you have compassion for yourself, you've healed yourself, then it's going to be a little easier to send that emotional healing to loved ones. And you're going to build stronger relationships by doing so, because you're releasing things that you have held on to. That's why you have anger. It's things you've let build up, but things you've not dealt with, things you are not happy with. And so that kind of meditation, the loving kindness meditation, I think it gets overlooked a lot because people don't want to do that kind of work because it's tough. I
Yeah.
got to sit here for how much time I've set aside to meditate and just only wish good things to me.
Right. But I can see where, I don't know where this would fall in, but a lot of times when you have to release things, you have to let things go, you have to forgive. You don't necessarily forget on things, but there's people in your past that you do have to say, well, I forgive you, I let it go. I send nothing but good thoughts your way, and I
Yeah,
feel better
after
because,
you've done the work on you, yeah, do that next.
but I think you can do that before you do work on you too, because sometimes you can't do that work until you let go of that strong feelings that you have for that person. Oh, okay, so if you have a very bad feelings about this person that they did you wrong, you got to be able to forgive them for that before you can actually heal yourself. You just got to let it go. Is that part of this, or you're saying that in that you just have to go through these steps before you can do that to that other person?
I think, and this is just me personally, so I could be totally off on this. I just know from past life experiences for me, every time I've tried to forgive someone and let it go without trying to heal myself, I snatch it back, which of course is human nature to do that. So it may not be just, it could just be human nature kicking in. But example, not to get into too much personal information, but a past spouse who really did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very difficult to forgive because of all the things they did to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to heal myself and love myself to get to a place where they no longer mattered to me before I could just I release you, I let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just because of the situation for me. Because I tried to, and what I did was my idea of, or I guess how I dealt with it, thinking I was releasing it, thinking I was letting to go of it. I was just basically putting it in this little box on a shelf in my mind, and would take it out periodically, not knowing it. There it was again.
Mm-hmm.
I was letting it rent space in my head.
Right.
And then I'd be like, no, no, I put you aside. But until I got to a point where I had to heal myself. And this is just an extreme situation. You know what
Yeah.
experience I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it was a very extreme situation where I could not, until I did the work on me and made myself lovable in my mind, and I was worthy, and I was strong, and I had to do all this work for loving me. I couldn't forgive them until I was strong with me. And doing this, and this is probably not the way to look at it, but how it was for me was, as I did this for me, I raised myself up higher than them,
Mm-hmm.
vibrationally, spiritually, and I was getting my stuff together by doing this technique. And then once I raised myself up, built myself up to where I was prior to this relationship, and then I could see the strong version of me, that gave me the power to then, okay, now I'm going to send positive wishes for you, that you stay far away, but you still have positive wishes because you don't ever want to be that, do bad karma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that in some situations you cannot send good wishes to someone without having that. But if a truck hits you, it's okay kind of mentality, depending on the depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving an extreme, I get it, but sometimes life happens, and you have, and to me, it's one thing to say, yeah, you be you, and you be you, but that's not sending loving words to them. That's just saying, okay, move on, I forgive you, go away. But are you really releasing them so they can go away?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, but that's just my extreme situation.
That's true.
That's, let's think about in today's world. And Kim and I had a sidebar conversation a couple weeks ago about what bullying was, because it has changed from when we were in school many, many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
Whereas when we went to school, we didn't have social media.
Right.
We didn't have Instagram, Facebook, where public shaming happens. I think in today's world, this kind of meditation everybody should do, just to
Yeah.
make sure you're where you should. Because if you're sending yourself loving words, and then you're sending loving wishes to your loved ones, and then you're sending it out, that's a trickle effect. That energy is going to get out there. That energy is going to do some good. And if the more people do it, the more good's going to happen, right? You
Hopefully.
know? Yeah. But if you're doing this kind of work with yourself, cyberbullying isn't maybe not going to affect you as much as if you have a lower self-esteem,
Yeah, I could see that.
where this technique is raising yourself above them. And I don't think that's ego talking. I think that's you're physically, spiritually, energetically raising yourself up to a higher frequency, where that lower energy, that lower frequency, yeah. And, I find that the more work I do, the less media I want.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through that. Well, I'll post on Facebook for a while, then I'll disappear. I'm watching it, but I'm like, oh, not my circus. I'm staying in my lane, and kind of do that work. But if I think especially for our younger women and men who are both getting bullied, or both being not necessarily are being called out for life choices, and they're on the path they need to be on. They're on their path. If you're on your path, it's not my place to say you're wrong. If that is your path, that is your path. You're traveling it for a reason.
Right.
It could be a life lesson. It could just be where you're supposed to be. I don't know. But if you're doing a loving kindness meditation towards yourself, and it's not being egotistic, it's not bad, you're just filling up an empty pitcher with love for yourself. Because, frankly, if you don't love yourself, who will, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I just think that, in my opinion, you have to do yourself first before you can give anything to anybody else. Because if you're writing, if you're a giver, and most empaths are givers,
Mm-hmm.
most empaths don't have boundaries. A lot of psychics have issues with needing a mental break, mental exhaustion, having to disengage. And, even psychics, if you're practicing psychics, you're picking up stuff that doesn't belong to you, and you don't realize you haven't let it go. And this is a type of meditation that is just purely love-based, focusing on yourself, which in today's world doesn't happen enough.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I was doing a photo shoot for a young lady who is very close to me. It's my boyfriend's daughter, and she graduated college. And she asked me to take her graduate pictures because I dabble a little bit in photography, not like I do with jewelry, but I, do dabble with photography. And we were out taking pictures, and you're self-conscious. And this woman walked right up to her and she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're just so beautiful. You're just a beautiful person." And that lifted this girl right up.
Mm-hmm.
How often does someone do that? Walk up to a total stranger and just say, "Oh, you're just beautiful." To me, this person had already healed themselves with meditation, and they've sent out to loved ones, and now they're just looking to go out in the world and just say something beautiful. It was total. She's just, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I hate to interrupt, but I just have to tell you, you're just so beautiful." And that just raised her spirits. That's where I think this world needs more of this loving kindness meditation. And I know I've gone on a rampage. I will stop now. I just think it's very important. And it doesn't matter where you're at in whether you're a beginner, whether you're a TM and you're meditating multiple times a day. I just think this is so important in today's world.
Yeah, I agree. One of the other, here we go again. Yes, this is something I've done and didn't realize I was doing it.
Darn it.
Darn it. It's called,
Happened again.
it did. It really did. Progressive muscle relaxation meditation. And this is something that I did and do at night before I go to sleep, and didn't realize that what I was doing was this meditation. And it's basically, it involves tightening and loosening various muscles up and down your body. Like you can squeeze your fingers and your hands into fists and then relax them. And then you do it again and then you relax them. And then you can move down to your arms and tighten your arms up and then release them. Just do that throughout your whole body. You can start at your head or your feet. But with this type of meditation, it's very soothing and relaxing, because once you've tightened those muscles and then you relax them, they just feel so light, and you're able to really relax. Then when it's time to go to sleep, you go to sleep because your whole body is just now in such a relaxed state that you're ready to jump in. Well, I jump into those dreams that can get pretty bizarre. But anyway, it relaxes you to get you to that state.
I have to try that one because I hadn't even thought about that. But because you so much after the end of the day, you are tense.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't realize you're tense, but you are.
Right.
Because you're so used to feeling that way that you don't even realize you are. But I'll have to try that one because that sounds like something that would be interesting to try. And I think whether you're experienced in meditation or a beginner, that would be a great way to start.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you're first starting out, you fall asleep anyway in meditation, so you're already in bed.
Yeah, and when you think about it, your mind is still wound and going, and oh my gosh, I gotta go to sleep because I gotta get up early in the morning and gotta do this, and this tomorrow. So this is also relaxing your brain. Your brain is working too, and you need to relax that as well.
If it doesn't relax, you won't get any sleep.
Right.
I've experienced that. That's not good.
Yeah. Even like you can scrunch your eyes up, hold them real tight and then relax them. And then you can just feel it on your face, that part of your face just feels so light and relaxed. And you just go all the way down or all the way up your body. It is really a nice way to end your day. And if you're going to do a meditation before you go to sleep, you can do one of those as well after this one. But this is just such a way to bring you into that relaxed state that you can actually go to sleep. I do it all the time. The only time I have a problem with it is whenever I haven't had enough water during the day and I get those toe cramps that, my toes cramp. Yeah. Jumping out of bed, so you got to start all over again.
That's a different podcast, but yeah.
Yeah.
I get that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I have to try that one. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be, it's almost like your breathing exercise.
Yeah.
You're focusing on releasing tension,
mm-hmm.
which of course is going to help you sleep better.
And one other thing that I added to it myself is while I am tightening the muscles and then I relax them, I say I release what's attached to that,
Oh, good idea.
To that part of my body.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's a way to release as you go down. Like I said, up. I prefer going down because I like to think of that light coming in my head and going out my feet, you know?
Yeah, yeah. While you're grounding yourself. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly, exactly. So
yeah.
that one is just a one that I've done all my life and just never knew that that's what I was doing, but it always relaxed me and let me go to sleep.
Well, that's good. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. I have to try that. I think the last one I have, Kim, is visualization meditation.
Okay.
This one is for people that have a very vivid imagination
Yeah.
or people that are motivated by goals and imagery.
Mhm.
I have a very vivid imagination. Always have.
Yeah.
Always have, as long as I can remember. And so visualization meditation, it's not easy for everybody because if you don't have a vivid imagination or you're not motivated by goals, this one might be a little harder to do. But it doesn't mean you can't do it, but you may not want to try it as a beginner, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have a very good imagination, then jump on in. But this meditation uses mental imagery. So in your mind's eye, you're going to see possibly peaceful landscape or personal success. You have a contest coming up or a competition coming up. You're visualizing your success in that, or it could guide you to focus and emotions. This is something that athletes and performers usually do to focus on their goals and get them keyed to do the performance. Anyone looking to tap into the power of the mind for growth and healing, this is for you too
Mhm.
because you're visualizing. A lot of guided meditations do visualization
Yeah.
in it. So it was a little hard for me at first because I was making it harder than it was.
Yeah. Very easy to do to
Yeah,
make it harder.
I don't see the beach. You're telling me there's a beach, but I don't see the beach. I'm trying to see the beach, that kind of stuff, which I think is very easy to fall into that when you're first starting out. Like, I don't get it.
Mhm.
And then the third eye's like, just relax. I got this. Let me show it to you. I think that if you have something that you're trying to manifest, this is something that can help with that manifestation
Yeah, definitely.
because you're seeing it in your mind. So you're kind of claiming it, so to speak. You're seeing it, you're visualizing it. If you're having trouble visualizing it and you've done visualization meditations very frequently, then maybe what you're trying to manifest to visualize isn't in for you.
Mhm.
On that, you may want to rethink what you're trying to visualize. You're going to have a proposal for work you have to put together. You're going to want to use this visualization meditation to see the outcome, see how you get there. And I think, Kim, you've done some of this at night in your dreaming on how to do stuff or how to fix something or how to, and this is how you get your
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah, it is. And I have a funny story here. Okay, so back in the old days, whenever they first came out with the 9-key pad on, well, like on a keyboard, I
Hmm.
used this in my mind's eye. I would just sit there and literally practice this in my mind, seeing that I'm picking up. I had a paper with a whole row of numbers, and I was just visualizing in my head my fingers hitting reading those numbers and hitting those keys just right, and did that every night before bed. And then there were times whenever I would go into the dream practicing that, and then my first job that had that type of keyboard, I had to do a test on it, and I was the fastest person that they had interview for it and test for it because, and I didn't make any errors. I was very accurate at that point in time in my life. Can't say that now. But anyway, but that was because I did this visualization. I wasn't doing that practicing on a keyboard. I was literally visualizing it in my head, my fingers hitting those keys and reading numbers and practicing that and visualizing. And that was something that I was trying to manifest because that was something I needed to know how to do. I was able to do that by doing this visualization.
So you knew you needed to do that for this particular job, or was that something you just knew you needed to do it?
I knew that if I was going to advance into any career involving technology, that was a thing I was going to have to know how to do quickly. I just knew that was something that I had to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I visualized it, perfected it. Well, perfection depends on how you look at it, but I was really good at it.
Well, I think if you beat everybody else's score and you had no errors, I think perfection could be you perfected it. I think you could say you perfected it.
And it was all during visualization. I did not have like the phone in front of me, a phone where you could practice it, because you don't want to do that right before you go to bed or anything. But I mean, I was visualizing myself doing this. I was visualizing reading the numbers and just going on this paper and doing the keyboard in my head. Yeah, it works. It works great.
Well, that's good.
But you got to be able to see it.
Yeah.
The key is to
Yeah.
see it.
And you stayed focused on the vision.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you had an outcome for this exercise.
Right.
So that's where this kind of visualization meditation can really help you with career goals, school goals. I think probably help you with romantic goals too, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
If you're seeing it and just being open to you did the work in your sleep, you did the work in the meditation, you did,
Exactly. It really just depends on what it is you're wanting to, what the outcome you want to happen that serves your life's purpose.
Yes. And see, I hope that this helps the listeners see the different kinds of meditation. Because everybody, I think, just, you have to meditate and you think, some people may go straight to the Om. Some people might think, oh, I got to sit with my legs cross-laid on the floor and I'll never get up. Because it's something unknown.
Right.
And I hate to say it, and I've seen this. People say that meditation was bad. And I'm like, okay, how's that different from your prayer?
Oh, you mean
I'm like,
that it's a bad thing that you're evil or horrible thing that you're doing. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've even heard people say that about yoga.
Yeah.
like, okay, how is it bad? How is that bad? So if there's a stigma attached to it for you, meditation is also prayer.
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
Yeah, so there's so many different kinds of meditation, and that's where it's kind of, finding out, what are you looking for in meditation? What are you wanting to accomplish with meditation? Are you just doing it because you keep hearing it every episode, that I have to meditate, and so I'm going to try it? Or what are you being drawn to? Which type? And there's so much more than what we even went into.
Oh, yeah.
These are just ones that are so easy to start out with. Get your feet wet. Try it. If I can't quiet my mind, I can't do, the meditation where you progressively go into the zone, then find a different one. Maybe you're just not ready for that one yet. Find one you're drawn to.
Right.
And I would recommend everybody do the loving kindness meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, it's a great exercise to sit down and come up with loving wishes for yourself. Like, I wish you happiness. I wish myself happiness. I wish myself love. I wish myself. It's hard for people to sit down and do that.
Yeah.
Because ego gets in the way.
It does.
Yes, it does. So hopefully this episode of PsychicBent Meditation is educational and help you kind of decide what type of where you should go with meditation.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, do you have anything else on meditation that you'd like to add?
Well, I think we've given them some good techniques and beginner things and explained some things. So I think we're good on that. Just remember, don't make it too hard on yourself. It doesn't have to be hard. Just find one that works for you. It could be something even simple as staring at a campfire and just letting stress go. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Relax and enjoy the process.
Absolutely. Have grace for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of PsychicBent, and we will see you next Monday. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, PsychicBent. If you enjoyed PsychicBent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at PsychicBent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.